Good evening. This is a review article Madanaphala, that is a Randia dumetorum, a pharmacological and the pharmacognostic review, written by the Dr. Ayush Kumar Garg, Dr. Preeti Chauhan, Dr. Shambir Gauria, and Dr. Brijesh Kumar Sharma. This was received on 4th January 2019 and published online on 28th April 2019. Abstract: Vamana, that is the emetic therapy, is one among the Panchakarma Chikitsa where the morbid dosha are expelled through the oral cavity. Many Vamana yoga have been mentioned in a Bruhat thrice in the various form of the preparation. Madanaphala, that is the emetic nut, is considered as the best Vamaka Dravya. The multidimensional activities of the Randia Dometrum has been revalidated in the recent time on several experimental models and even in a well-designed clinical trials. Various parts of this medical thorny shrubs reveals antibacterial, anti-allergic, anti-inflammatory, analgesic, immunomodulatory, therapeutic emetics are also used to check wound healing, etc. Show us a multiple precision of this plant. This review is an attempt to explore various yogas of Vamana Karma where a Madanaphala is used as a main ingredient. Introduction: Ayurveda aims at a swasthasya swasthya rakshanam, that is a maintenance of a health in a healthy, aturasya vikara prashaman, that is a prevention of a disease. Panchakarma is one of the major treatment modality of the Ayurveda, operates to fulfill these objectives. Vamana karma is the first and foremost among the Panchakarma therapeutic regimen which eliminate the morbid kapha dosha through the oral route. Whole of the section known as a Madanphala Kalpa in the Kalpasthan of a Charaka Samhita is a denoted a formulation to the inducer Vamana and Virechanaha, where in out 600 formulation mentioned in this section, out of this 355 are meant only for the Vamana Karma. This shows the importance of a Vamana Karma. Among the various drugs are available for the Vamana therapeutic emesis, the drug Madanaphala is considered as the best, mainly because of a anapaya um, anupa anupakaitva gunah, that is a safe property. In the Vedic literature, the thorns of a Madana are mentioned, and in case of a vegetable poison, Madanaphala is given to induce a vomiting. Charaka emphasizes its role as an antidote to a many poison. Antidote as a many poison, it is important to note a Madanaphala enumerated under the Vamana Dravya but not under the Vamanopaka group. However, it is found as a Astapanaka and Anuvasanopaka group. Hence, it is need of a time to evaluate a different formulation for the induction and the adaptation in day-to-day practice. Review of a Madanphala, Latin name Randia diometorum, family Rubiaceae, English name emetic nut, synonymous Madana, Charadana, Pindi, Vishapushpakah, Shalakah, बस्तिशोधनः धाराफलः गण वमन फलिनिः इनचरकः ऊर्ध्वभागः आरग्वदादि मुष्कादि इन सुश्रुतः. Part use Madanaphala pimpli Phalatwaka. Botanical description: a large deciduous thorny shrub which grows up to 5 meters of the height. Leaves are their simple and obovated, wrinkled, shiny and वगैरह, and all these are we are skip this. फार्मॅकोडायनॅमिक प्रॉपर्टीज. गुण: लघु एंड वृक्ष, वीर्य उष्ण, विपाक कटु, प्रभाव वमनः, दोषघ्नता कफ वात शामक. डोज 1 to 2 gram and 3 to 6 gram for the emesis. Chemical composition: bark of the Randia dumetorum contains mannitol, saponins, coromarin, glucoside. Root of a bark Randia dumetorum contain triterpene, 1 keto 3 hydroxyhyaluronine. Leaves contain iridote 10 methyl lixoside and iridote glycoside from the leaves of Randia dumetorum. Then fruits also contain glycosides, radiosides, moliocidal, triterpenoid, glycosides and the randianine. 6. Saponin, A to F. Saponin name as dumentorium from the fruit pulp of the Randia dumetorum. Dumetoronin A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. And hemolytic triterpenoid saponins, that is the randianins from the fruit of the Randia dumetorum. Seed madanphala pimple contains a fat 1.5% fat, 14.2% protein, resin, mucilage, and the organic acid, and the minute quantity of unidentified alkaloid. Role of a madanphala in the Vamana karma, that is emesis. Madanphala irritate the stomach, causing vomiting due to the katu तिक्त कटु रसः उष्णवीर्या व्यवाही विकासी लघु guna. Best, it is called as the best vamak because it is not having any side effect during the emesis. Mode of action: madanphala possesses 5 special properties: ushnah, laghu, sukshmah, vyavayi, vikasi. Madanphala execute their action with the help of these 5 important properties. Ushnah, that is a vishandana, that is a help in the liquefaction of the morbid dosha by the virtue of agniya property. Hence it is a facilitate the movement of the morbid dosha to expel out of the body. Then laghu guna is the characteristics of the drug constituent of vayu and agni mahabhuta. Drug possessing this property produces a lightness in the body and promote the jatharagni. This action help in reducing the kapha. Sukshma guna allow a drug to pass into the micro channel by virtue of anupravan bhava, that is a specially property to get into the micro channels by dilating a channel. This property helps to remove the morbid matter from the micro channels and brings them to the koshta for the expulsive. Vyavayi property allows the drug to spread quickly throughout the body and start their action before the digestion without any change in the form. By the virtue of a vikasi property, madanphala leads into the shaithilya, that is a loosening of the morbid dosha, and thus help them to bring inside the koshta for their easy expulsion. Lekhana guna allows the drug to clear the channels of a body. This property leads to a vichedana or a sanghat bhedanam, that is help to a scarp of the excessive mucus. Urdhva bhagahara prabhava, having a predominance of agni and vayu mahabhat, helps to medicine to move in the upward. According to modern, the mucosal layer of the stomach most superficial, which comes directly contact with the administered vadanaphala. When the stomach get purified, it layers get a nutrition and further absorption of a micronutrient may be the enhanced, and these micronutrient may enter into the circulation and finally reaches to the target organ. Then importance of the emesis. All the classical treated in the Ayurveda have a advocate biopurification, that is a shodhana treatment as the first line of the treatment in kapha. Therefore vamana become a treatment of a choice by the virtue of its capacity to evacuate a kapha along with the pitta. Biopurification treatment are capable of evacuating a dosha in a larger amount in a shorter period of time. Hence, relief from the symptom is a quicker and relatively long lasting. So, Vamana is a rational treatment for the kapha dominant diseases. Vamana is done in the spring season, approximately in the month of March and April, for the elimination of viated kapha dosha, which in turn helps to prevent the forthcoming kapha disorder and associated pitta disorder or disease originating or settle in the place of a kapha, like a bronchial asthma, allergic bronchitis, rhinitis, sinusitis, migraine, hyperacidity, indigestion, anorexia, obesity, overweight, dyslipidemia, diabetes mellitus, acne vulgaris, psoriasis, eczema, and urticaria. Action and uses. Bhav Prakasha, it is useful in a Jirna Pratishaya, Kushta, Anaha, Gulma, and a Vrana. According to a P.V. Sharma, Rogagnata, वातव्याधि आमवात शोथ वेदना युक्त विकार विध्रदि व्रण उदरशूल गुल्म शूल कफ प्रभाव ज्वर श्वास कास प्रतिशाय विबंध कृमि प्रवाहिका रक्तपित्त कार्शत्व कष्टप्रसाव कुष्ठ ज्वर मेदरोग एंड विषविकार कर्म शोतहरा वेदना स्थापन व्रणशोधन वामक वातानुलोमक कृमिघ्न ग्राही रक्तशोधन कफ निर्हरः अर्तवजनः स्वेदजननः कुष्ठघ्नः ज्वरघ्नः लेखन and the विषघ्नः. Mm. Fruit, it cures abscess, ulcer, inflammation, wounds, tumors, skin diseases, and has a antibacterial activity. The pulp of a fruit is believed by many practitioners to also having an anti-helminthic properties, and also used as a abortifacient in a full fair remedy. Bark is astringent and is given in the case of a diarrhea and dysentery. It is administered internally and applied externally in the form of the paste in the rheumatism and to relieve the pain, bruises, and the bone itches during the fevers and the disperse and the abscess. The aqueous extract of the root bark of the tree are used as an active insecticide. Scientific interpretation of the worm. According to the modern science, drugs act on a omitting center of the medulla trigger zone, that is a CTZ, omitting center for the medulla trigger zone, than chemoreceptor. The drug which produces omitting is called as emetics. The process of omitting is called as emesis. Omitting result from the coordinated interaction of the central and the peripheral neural, humoral, somatic, muscular, and the gastrointestinal myoelectrical muscular phenomena. Omitting may be initiated by the stimuli acting on the variety of anatomical structure within the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The Vaman quickly absorb in the blood and cross the blood-brain barrier and stimulate the emitting center. These impulses are transmitted to the emitting center through the vagus and the sympathetic afferent fiber. When the Vaman reaches to the stomach, they stimulated the gastric mucosa, stimulated the vagus and the sympathetic nerve that carries a signal to the emitting center and induces a emesis. Emesis start when a Vaman reaches to the pyloric end of the stomach. Administration of the lukewarm water, madanphala, yashtimadu kwatha, or saline water induces emesis by reflex stimulation of the emitting center of the brain. Emitting center lies bilaterally in the medulla oblongata near the nucleus tractus solitarius. A motor impulse from the emitting center are transmitted through the 5th, 6th, 9th, and 12th cranial nerves to the upper part of the GI tract and through the spinal nerve to the diaphragm and the abdominal muscle. Emesis may result from the activation of a peripheral structure outside of the central nervous system. Chemoreceptor trigger the zone located in the postema and the nucleus tractus solitarius are the most important release areas for the afferent impulse arising in the GIT, throat, and other viscera. The chemoreceptor triggering zone is also accessible to the blood-borne drugs, mediators, hormones, toxins because of its unprotected by the blood-brain barriers. Their action are divided by the mainly two types, the central emetics and the reflex emetics, that is the local emetics and the gastric emetics. Central emetics drug induces emitting by the direct stimulation of the emitting center. These drugs are also called as a stimulate gastric muscle, diaphragm, GIT, and also increase the peristalsis. Their action is a more prompt. Digitalis and the apomorphine are the example of the central emetics. Their reflex emetics, peripheral afferent pathways involved in the emesis may activated by the stimulation of the receptor solution. Striated muscle structure of the abdomen, thorax, and the pharynx are involved in the process of the emesis during the retching inspiratory thoracic diaphragmatic abdominal wall muscle contract stimulatively. Resulting high positive intra-abdominal pressure provide the driving force for the reflux of the gastric content into the esophagus with the associated herniation of the abdominal esophagus and the gastric cardia into the thorax. However, simultaneously high negative intrathoracic pressure prevent expulsion of the luminal content into the mouth, even though the upper esophageal sphincter may relax during the reaching. In contrast to the reaching, both intra-abdominal and the intrathoracic pressure is positive, in the part due to the lack of the diaphragmatic contraction, which permits the transmission of the high positive abdominal pressure into the thorax. Additional synchronous contraction of the both inspiratory and the expiratory muscle contributes to the reversal of the intrathoracic pressure during the expulsion, as with the reaching of the abdominal esophagus and the gastric cardia herniated across the diaphragm with the transfer of a gastric content into the esophagus with the vomiting. However, the high positive intrathoracic pressure provides a force for the expulsion into the mouth. Over propulsion of the omitus is further facilitated by the movement of a hyoid bone and larynx upward and forward. In a Vamana, there is an antiperistaltic movement begin to occur. The antiperistaltic may begin as for done for the intestinal tract as the ileum, and the antiperistaltic wave travels backward up to into the intestine. During the vomiting, strong intrinsic contraction occur in both duodenum and the lower esophageal sphincter, thus following the omiters to begin a moving into the esophagus. From here, a specific vomiting act involves the abdominal muscle expel the omiters to the exterior. In this, omiters toxic or the waste material, which are responsible for the elevation of a pathological process of the various diseases through the Vaman after Snehan and Swedan excreted out. Other pharmacological activities, that is antibacterial activity, anti-allergic activity, anti-inflammatory activity, analgesic activity, immunomodulatory activity, and other. Then the conclusion, the plant has an attributed with a number of activity in the classic. The multidimensional activity of the Randia duometrum has been revalidated in the recent time on the several experimental models and even in the well-designed clinical trial. Various parts of the medical thorny shrub reveals antibacterial, anti-allergic, anti-inflammatory, analgesic, immunomodulatory, therapeutic emetics, and also used to check a wound healing. Shows as a multiple precision of the plant. It is known as a good source of a saponin, glycosides, D-mannitol, scopolamine present in the Randia duometrolam might be either medicinally important or nutritionally sound. It possesses therapeutic potential in a disease like a kushta, that is a skin disease, jwara, febrile condition, shotha, inflammation, vidradi, abscess and pratishaya, common cold, gulma, vrana, adhugarakta pitta, though there are certain properties which are still to be evaluated out. Thank you so much for listening me. This article of a madanphala, how the madanphala act as a vamana dravya, how the madanphala have a pharmacology in the vamana, that is the emesis. Thank you so much for listening me. Bye.